I got it.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Daily AI Show. Today is February 17th, 2026. And with us today, we have, Carl's not on the screen yet, but we have a pretty full boat, which is awesome. We're only missing Jyunmi at this point. But we have Beth, Andy, and I'm Brian. Karl is in the green room, probably waiting to come in. Hold on, I'm going to try it. Nope, that wasn't it. Was it? I thought it was Control N, Beth. What's the Shift N? How do I get the names up?
Shift N, yeah. I got it. Nope, because now you're gonna make them go away again.
So don't do it again, is what you're saying.
I'm saying don't do it again. I'm trying to find my cursor. Can you let Karl in the show?
Yeah,
there we go.
Karl's screwing his mic on to stand. So everybody is here. Everybody is ready. Hey, everybody in the chat, how are y'all? Hey, Cisco. Hey, Brian as well. Jeff is in there. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming in here. I'm sure we'll get some of the other regulars in as well. All right. Well, it's Tuesday, and yesterday we had a bit of a chat about some of the Open AI / OpenClaw merger news and what that means and what the guy Peter's doing. I saw a little extra on that I actually appreciated, which was him saying, like, look, I could have turned OpenClaw. This is Peter, the founder. He said, I could have turned it into a big business. I know this. And this goes back to what we were saying, Andy, with like all the VC firms like chomping at the bit at him. He said, but it's not where his heart was. He's a builder at heart. And I love the idea of somebody, not that I think he turned down money. We kind of talked about the undisclosed amount that he's probably getting paid to be at OpenAI. But I love the idea of somebody staying true to like what matters to them and what fills them with hopefully joy. And if you are a builder at heart, I get that, because I feel that sometimes. Not everybody is the right person to turn an idea that catches fire into a multi-million, billion in AI type company. So knowing where you're comfortable and where you want to be is awesome. He said basically he felt that OpenAI was the best place to build, and quote, I'll get the F out, F, not the full word, but just F out if that changes. And I thought, I like this guy more and more. It's like, you know what? I have an opportunity to go to OpenAI, and if it doesn't suit me, I'm gone, because this is what I want to do. I want to build. So maybe, Andy, when we were talking, and Beth, we were talking yesterday about Zuckerberg's team versus an OpenAI, I can see how that might factor in. If you're that kind of person, getting in on Zuckerberg's team would probably be a different situation of let me just go in and build. Because we've seen other people leave Meta because they maybe didn't have the flexibility that they wanted, and to build and sort of be their own developer and builder. So anyway, I just wanted to open that up because it comes off of yesterday's chat about it. But we have so many people here, so let's get into the news. I guess Karl or Ann, since we don't see you guys all the time, what news do you guys have from like maybe the last 24 hours or anything? We covered a little bit yesterday, but what else do you have that you want to talk about?
I come here for Andy's news, so I mean,
so do our folks in our chat. So if you have any news, Karl, do you have any?
I do. So Grok 4.2 is out today. You can actually, if you go to Grok, you'll see. The only thing I don't understand is if you go to Grok, it says Grok 4.2 beta, but it says 4 agents. But I don't know what that means, and it doesn't tell you. And I'm trying to look on Grok's own like X thread.
Wait, it says 4 agents. Is that what you said?
It says 4 agents, but I'm like, I don't know what that means, or look, what does 4 agents? I don't know what that is.
Versus 4.
It's 4. So yeah, like so,
it's made to serve agents as opposed to.
Because it was something like marketing, right. And who knows what marketing looks like at Grok, but on that team. But it sounds like marketing is like, we need a little something extra here. Agents, nailed it.
It's like, I don't know, like it's worth trying out. I was like, but I haven't. I was like, and it's on because I don't pay for Grok, but like it's free, so I don't know. You probably are limited, but it's worth testing out. what those 4 agents are. I don't know what those are.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. So it is 4 agents. You're saying the number 4.
Well, here I'll just pop it into the. I'll just share my screen and then just see the 4 agents where it says 4 agents.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Sorry, I forgot you were sharing.
4 agents.
4. Oh, at the bottom, I see it there. I was like, where? Yeah. Grok 4. Yeah, 420. Right. So
yeah.
Still playing the juvenile game. I see. Fantastic. Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know. So it's like, obviously I can't do that. I can't do that. Privilege instructions. Anyway, so that's kind of, that's kind of it.
Grok came out with something. We don't really know what it means. It might be for agents. It's hard to tell. Yeah, I get it.
But it is the number 4. But it is the number 420.
What do you have over the last 24?
So I have a video series that came out from China. So Utree, right, which is the Unitree, which is the robot company, had dancing agents in last year in the Chinese Spring Festival Gala. And they had dancing agents this year. And I'll just share my screen slightly. Here we go. Where are you is really the question. There we are. Because I'm on a single screen. Here we go. So this is the difference between the agents last year and this year.
So for those not watching, the bottom is like robots from 2025, and now Beth is showing backflips and very cool stuff from 2026.
Wow.
And I'll just stop it there. But what we can
very humanoid. Like now the humanoid robots aren't just shaped, generally speaking, like a human, but really moving like really proficient dancers.
Yeah, like dexterity, right? When you say just high levels of dexterity, it looked like they were almost doing like, it was hard to see, but it almost looked like parkour, where they were naturally moving over objects and kind of like like parkour, where you would throw your hands down and throw your legs around to move over stuff. It's come a long way.
There are places where you see it. So there are kids dancing with them. Last year, it looked like there were adult women dancing with them. There are places where the kid seems to like control something or like give a signal. They all like do things in concert. And really what it looks like to me is also the difference between what we see Chinese droid displays, like aerial displays.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
So it used to be that everything moved in lockstep, right? You could see that it all got up and moved in lockstep. Now what you're seeing is that they move relative to each other and can shift and morph. And it seems like that's also happening in the Chinese market. Robots are part of regular, much more a part of regular life in China. Not that everyone's using them, but I would be surprised if I saw a robot or 3 in dance costume walking down Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. I don't think the same thing is true in China. I think they're much more around. And I don't know where they're used for, but yep, that's a thing. That's my news today.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned, because look, again, where does this go, right? Well, a lot of ways we're seeing it more for entertainment in these situations. And there's a lot that could be done there because, well, I mean, I'm just outside the entertainment bubble living in Tampa because Orlando is so close. I also used to live in Orlando. And so I like Orlando a lot. I'm not like a super Disney fan or super Universal fan, but I do enjoy those parts of Orlando. And so I follow it quite a bit. So you can imagine Disneyland Shanghai maybe to start with, where they're ahead of us in terms the states, that is, in terms of like drone shows being part of like a nighttime spectacular. Like you would, they have fireworks, but they have drones that go with it, right? We sort of see this, like you'll see that a little bit in like Universal and things. What I would expect next is nighttime spectacular, or it's the parade, and now it's a mix of human robot doing fun things, walking down the parade route. I guess you got to get past them going rogue and running in straight into the audience at full steam and things like this. So I'm sure there's some parameters that need to be factored into that. Maybe it's not near crowds. Maybe it's only on the stage by the castle, right? So like, I think this is where you're starting to see this as far as entertainment goes. And of course, all of the major players in Orlando are dealing with animatronics. How does this impact animatronics? How does this impact more free expression? If you go to the kids area in Universal, Donkey from Shrek will talk to you. Right now, we know, adults know, that's a guy's voice that sort of sounds like Eddie Murphy behind it, and it's a very sort of crude animatronic, but it's Donkey and it's fun for the kids and they crack up and stuff like that. Or not Megatron, but one of the Transformers, Decepticons, does it as well, right? So you can see where this is going. Of course, the other side of this is, large robots all coordinated towards one central, effect. That also has the dark side of it too, which is, what does that mean for future of crowd control? Things we have going on in the States, without getting political, but things that are going on in the States, things that are going on across the world in other types of governments. You can see where this is fun for now. Look at them spins and flips, and not so fun if it becomes more than that, right? So that's. But you're right about the drones. It's the first thing I thought of, is like, oh, that's like a coordinated drone show,
Right.
Isn't this cool? But also drones are used in war, and so will robots.
Yeah. And there's Anthropic's story is part of that. Part of the scuttlebutt is the military deciding whether they're going to cancel the $200 million contract with Anthropic, specifically Hegseth. And part of that is Anthropic doesn't want drone warfare with no human decision maker involved in that process, was my understanding of what that, it wasn't the only thing, but it was Anthropic's like, yeah, no, we don't want to open that up. And Google, OpenAI, and Meta, I would assume, there were three who said, yeah, no, we'll do it.
I thought you were going to say the news story, because it's similar, that Anthropic, they know that Claude was used as part of the extraction in Venezuela a month ago or so, or more than that.
No.
Okay. And Claude was, and Anthropic was saying, hey, we're not for that. My question though is, you built a tool, how do you suggest that the tool is or isn't used? I'm not really sure how you have a ton of control over that, but I guess if you are using their software or their tool, be it Claude Code or otherwise, then you still fall within their privacy and other rights for using it. But is that just the government going, heard, they want?
There would be an agreement that had to be signed by Anthropic between, the Department of War and Anthropic to provide the latest and greatest models to them. And the latest and greatest models from Claude, probably models that we don't actually, see yet, are being used in Pentagon's classified systems right now. And it's, according to the newsletters, it's the only AI that is being used in Pentagon's classified systems right now.
Yeah. And it was through Palantir. That was the news I had heard, just for clarity.
Well, Palantir has an orchestration process using their ontology system that uses other models. Like Palantir does have really good coordination systems for the application of AI to war games and war fighting, but Palantir doesn't develop their own frontier level models. So the reasoning capabilities have to be borrowed, in effect, by Palantir by incorporating or integrating another model. So Claude was the model that Palantir used when they did all of the work that was associated with the extraction of Maduro from Venezuela. That's my understanding anyway.
Okay.
So what Anthropic is really saying here is we have an ethical contract that we're trying to maintain here. That's one of our principles as a constitutional AI. And they do not want, they want to specifically ensure that their models will not be used by the Department of War to spy on Americans or for autonomous weapons, meaning weapons that aren't guided in some respect by, they want Claude being the engine behind a free roaming killing machine. That's not part of their ethics. So they're taking a principled stand, and they're going to pay a heavy, heavy price for this, because we have what is called retribution in our government now, which shouldn't be there. Retribution is a feature of the Trumpian administration. And so if Anthropic's not going to give them blanket permissions, then Pete Hegseth is going to classify them in such a way that every major defense contractor or war contractor, a company that currently uses Claude, would have to get them off their systems. And that will hit them in the pocketbook way beyond the $200 million direct Pentagon contract for provisioning of the Claude model.
Yeah. And well, yeah, I'll leave it there. Okay. I was going to go off on a tangent. It's not worth it. Andy, I know I've sort of tried to spread it around here. I do have one news story, but let me bounce it to you next, because you were just responding to that one. What news did you want to bring today, do you think?
Yeah, I want to talk about, the further advancement of the Claw world, right?
Yeah.
So OpenClaw. So Moonshot is a Chinese AI company that just weeks ago released their Kimi K2.5, which really jumped to the top of the charts in the open source world, and is a really, really powerful platform. Now, Moonshot has released Kimi Claw, and this is distinctly different from the other ways that you can access or deploy the OpenClaw autonomous agent, in effect. And it's removing the technical requirements of deployment. And how they did that is they do their deployment of your Claw on Kimi.com, and it's using the powerful Kimi K2.5 model as the logic brain for it, but it runs entirely in your browser. You don't have to do a local install. You don't have to set up a server configuration. You don't actually access anything in the cloud other than the Kimi.com Claw instance. And so you get to deploy and manage your agent using the OpenClaw system with persistent memory, which is the key to its continuous learning. And they give you 40 gigabytes of cloud storage with the subscription. Now, the subscription that you need to get right now to get that on Kimi is a $39 US dollar per month subscription. And you get that through the iOS App Store. So Kimi is delivering. Remember that one of the real features of OpenClaw is that it is accessible. You speak to your agent through Telegram or WhatsApp or some other messaging app. Now you can speak to it through Moonshot Kimi Claw's app in the store, and you don't need to necessarily use the other apps, but you could also connect those to your Claw instance on Kimi. So then, at the same time, so this is China, taking their shot at how do we exploit the emergent attention and sophisticated capabilities of the OpenClaw platform. And it's not a platform as much as it is an architectural design for how an agent should be configured. And so then Baidu, which is another major player, in China, they just integrated OpenClaw agent, and that's their way of doing it, for 700 million users directly in their app ecosystem. Now, Baidu has a whole bunch of different services, from search to e-commerce to everything else. So now OpenClaw can navigate and traverse all of those systems, all of the in the app system. So then on top of that, other
Oh,
companies.
wait, there's more.
There's more. Yes. So there's two different ways that Claw is being set up out there. One is there's a bunch of different cloud providers who are trying to make one-click access to creation of a Claw out there. And Chinese companies, not specifically Baidu and Moonshot, but rather Alibaba and Tencent, have already enabled users to use OpenClaw on their cloud infrastructure. So they have this kind of one-click thing. And, I think Cloudflare is going to do it eventually. Everybody's going to try to make this really, really easy for people to set this up. But then going back to KimiClaw, there you don't even have to do anything but run it in your browser. And everything's all set up for you. It's beyond one click. It's a half click. Go half click in your browser. Just talk to it.
Yeah, I think we'll continue to see this.
There's another Claw that I saw today that is Droid Claw, and it is designed to run on your old Android phone. So $50, $100 Android phone, run this on that. There are a bunch of things that it can't do, but one of the things that it can do is use apps, like use apps like a human would use apps, take screenshots when it needs to understand what it should do within the app, and then be able to do those things.
Also, I know Karl is a Manus user, and Manus Agents has just been made available to Manus subscribers, and that is a way to use Manus inside Telegram.
I thought I saw yesterday that Manus was blocked. I thought I saw that yesterday. I'll find that. I think Manus was blocked.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
It's on the little fun things to try things in Manus today. So if they know it, they don't know it's blocked if it is blocked.
No, this was a day. No, look, I'll find what it is.
So this is not related to OpenClaw except by virtue of it being very similar to OpenClaw.
Okay.
It's adding Manus's agent now is accessible via Telegram. Yeah. So you like OpenClaw, you can talk to your agent via Telegram without having to open the Manus app.
But OpenClaw is also open
Andy,
source.
Couldn't
you fork
Beth.
Couldn't you fork it or branch it, Karl? I don't know which is different between those, but the one that gives you the full copy that you now have, and you can do whatever you want with it, right? That's maybe
that's pretty much. I think you can clone it on your you can git clone it if you really want to. If you know what you're what are the things you want to add to it, change to it, whatever you want.
No, I just meant like for Manus, it's not like
no. I don't use Manus anymore.
No, I know.
Mashed them on the CNBC article. No, I didn't.
What?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Anne is our.
Let's know. Let's know, Anne. We want to know.
I don't want to know, Karl. What was in the story about Manus?
Oh no! Like the CNBC reporter a while back asked for a quote why Manus or Meta buying Manus, and I said we don't recommend it to our clients just because we're not sure about the privacy and if it just stuff like that. So we said we use GenSpark instead, and working quite well. So
the real quick from what I was mentioning, I did look it up. This was from 2 days ago, so things move fast. But it was that Telegram had temporarily suspended Manus AI agents. I was getting a couple things confused there. Shortly after launch, with some speculation suggesting it could be related to OpenClaw. This occurred as Meta, which acquired Manus, lost the bidding war for OpenClaw to OpenAI, leading Meta to integrate Manus into its messaging platforms as a competitor. So I had forgotten that Meta had. I think there was the acqui-hire, right? Was that one of those acqui-hires with Manus? And so, or did they buy him outright? I can't remember at this point. But regardless, I had forgotten where the whole Telegram. You got to remember who owns what here. It's like everything else. It's like, oh wait, hold on, that got blocked over here. Oh, that's right, so and so owns this one, and they don't like what that one did, and you got to trace it back down and go, oh, that's probably what the story is really about. So anyway, that's what I had read, and I was getting confused. So I want to make sure I cleared that up.
Can someone articulate why we want to have Telegram attached to things? Because I actually do not know. Why do we want Telegram?
The reason why, like Telegram, people like it's essentially you could, when OpenClaw, or you could put it on Slack, you can put it on WhatsApp, you can put it on Telegram. It's really supposed to be for like, if I want to chat with it on my phone to tell my computer to do something, you could do it that way, right? So instead of you going to OpenClaw, you just use Telegram as the voice dictation, text dictation of what you want it to do. That's really it. And Telegram is like an easy way to. It used to be, there was a lot of people when N8N was like, N8N or Make, they would run it off Telegram. So quote unquote, you can use it as Jarvis, right?
Okay.
But that's how they want to do it, which is fine. Like that's one way to do it, right? You can even,
Cisco's saying you can speak to your phone and have it connect and
But
trigger
isn't that what
something
we
or have a
don't-
response.
Isn't that what we do isn't that already what we do?
No,
I don't
it's
have
just
to
another way
practice
to
code,
do it.
but I'm curious. What's that?
It's just another way to do it. It's like,
Okay.
it's more, whenever I look at it, I'm like, I guess I don't know. For me, it's like, it's an extra build. It's like a cool factor. Oh, I can run it through Telegram.
It's a cool factor.
Like, how many people use Telegram?
Right.
I was
Like,
right?
how is that? Ooh, I can run it through Telegram. Like, okay.
You're speaking to like
Yes.
the group that it's not meant for like normal people who don't like
live in Telegram.
The audience.
It's probably for people who spend all their time, like a lot of time, communicating inside Telegram, right? Which I just don't.
Yeah, I don't either. But
you could set up a personal Discord and message it on Discord too.
Yeah,
right?
Well, that
was
same kind of thing. Same kind of eye roll from the
just
people
because
who
you
are
can't. Okay, got it. I was feeling like an outsider, but I get it now.
No, I just think too, like if you think about it, the reason why they said Telegram is they're targeting the very, very specific people who run OpenClaw. And OpenClaw, a majority of people were using Telegram, like those who knows like Botfather in there to build it. But like those are the people that really focus on. It's like, oh, switch from OpenClaw, try Manus. And most people, and but most people, if they're not targeting a broad audience, bro, I was like, what the hell's Telegram? What the hell's OpenClaw? I kind of heard about that, but what the hell's Telegram? Like, that's not going to work. But like for people who are like, I can.
Well,
they're psyched.
They're
pumped.
Somebody had it up on screen. I want to bring it back. Jeff said, I have my Clanker attached to Slack and all of my rest of my dev team can use it too. Perfect example. What is Clanker? What the hell is that? Explain that to me.
Computer. Although clankers are what the kids call us. If we like AI, they call us clankers.
Clanker is Jeff's claw.
It's
when
it's
his claw bot.
You
gotta read the chat. You gotta read the chat while it's happening over multiple days and weeks.
Okay, wait. Let's roll back. What is a clanker? What is that? A person?
It depends on what Okay, so clanker could mean so many things.
Oh my god!
Okay, it's the name of his open claw.
It's the personification.
It's also.
Thanks.
You forget it's like it's a video game term too. Like I go and beat clankers when I play Helldivers or I play Arc Raiders. Everyone's like, "What the hell is that?" So you could essentially a clanker is literally that's how I think of it. It's like it's your robot. Think about it is probably the easiest way to think.
That's why kids call us clankers because they think we are turning into robots.
That's
it's like
you learn something new every day.
It's it's one of the worst now, along with there's a new one, Chuz. We don't want to be Chuz and we don't want to be clankers, just so you know. Those two things we don't want to be.
So we need this feedback from somebody who has kids in college. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like
exactly.
we can get this all back downloaded to us. None of us have kids at that age, or they're beyond that age. So like you're that nice middle end where we can pull in the knowledge kids, or rather the college kids terminology and stuff. Okay, I'm going to bring up a quick news story just because I think it's isn't it ironic? As Alanis would say. So what's happening? OpenAI has submitted a formal memo to U.S. lawmakers accusing DeepSeek of systematically distilling outputs from top American models to train its own systems. The allegation is not casual. It claims structured extraction at scale. This shifts the issue from online debate to regulated territory. And this was from AI Secret. I just want to make sure I'm giving credit where I read this. The ironic part is how many artists, photographers, and music makers out there do you think are like, oh, poor OpenAI? Look at them getting their stuff stolen for use of other AI models. We are so sad for them. That is just a shame that somebody else is taking their stuff and using it without permission. And that's what I think is the ironic part of this, is that if you were anybody that feels like your creative content was somehow washed into the training of models over the last couple of years, I don't believe something like this would land with a heavy heart for those people, because I'd be like, oops, I guess it happened.
I see that part of it. The open question in my mind is, how did DeepSeek access the weights of the models, right, in order to get the advantages of the training that had been done at high expense by OpenAI? They had to hack somehow into it. And this is what apparently OpenAI was able to detect. So at least in long retrospect, they can see now in their logs or whatever that somehow somebody was able to purloin the weights of our models as we were training them. And they're saying it's DeepSeek, right? So that's a bigger investigation to go on, to ultimately be revealed. Right. What happened there that made that happen? Beth, do you know anything about that?
I don't, but to Brian's question, if it were that easy to reverse engineer, we would see this a lot, right?
Yeah. Well, I think this was an exploit, a major exploit.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say I would imagine, it's stuff being shared internally. This stuff, we often find people move around a lot, and like any job, any role, people get for their reasons, they decide to share things that they maybe shouldn't. And, sharing weights or something like that obviously would that's sort of like the API key behind, how something works. It's sort of the secret sauce of how a model works above and beyond just the data it was trained on. So, yeah.
And I'm going to name two things. They both happen on the show, and in my head it does not mean that they are related, but it doesn't mean they're not related. We also saw a story that OpenAI has an internal model to identify leakers, right?
Oh, that's cool.
And I assumed was like, who's writing that on X, right? Who's the anonymous source of blah 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 blah. But if something was purloined, that may be actually another reason to run that internal model to identify things.
I'd be a little upset. I'd let everybody know if I was part of these organizations and I'm paying you upwards of sometimes millions of dollars in compensation or salary, and you're a little fast and loose with what you're doing. I'd be making it well known that I'm tracking everything you write, everything you do. That would be just table stakes for working at any of these premier companies who have a lot to lose, not just to China, but just, domestically as well, have a lot to lose for not being like the main model or whatever the case may be. So,
and Jeff is saying that maybe actually it's just knowledge distillation. Take a bunch of input output pairs that come out of an OpenAI model and then train your models to emulate that, in which case maybe you don't have to actually steal the weights, but
you get close enough.
Yeah,
you can figure your way there.
Yeah, so that suggests that they're just using the model to see, what it can generate as, an inference in response to an input that they create. And I don't know, that would be, if that's a thing, and you can actually generate a model that surpasses the training model, there's more secret sauce in there than I imagine is available. So I'm skeptical about that one, but that approach being the explanation of why DeepSeek is being accused of purloining.
And-
Loving that term. Okay. Anyway.
Good. No, I was just like, Greg says this is inevitable, and I think, well, there's that too. Like at some point, do all weights basically through open source, through whatever process this happen illegally or otherwise, or just blunt force or reverse engineering or whatever? I don't know. I'm not an expert there, but like, does it all basically get out there in the wash anyway? And which also asks the question, is that really the secret sauce that's going to make the companies profitable in the future of agentic work too? Like, I don't know. I don't have the answer there. I'm just saying, like, how important is it if these models get down and basically these, generally speaking, these models all kind of have an equilibrium to them, your premier models, your frontier models have a bit of an equilibrium to them. Is that really where these companies are focusing anyway? I don't know.
I don't know. We know that Grok did it because Grok said that it was OpenAI at one point when Grok first came out. Doesn't do it anymore. It's got very different system instructions about answering those kinds of questions. But
I forgot about that. I forgot that it's.
I'd like to pivot to some AI and science. I have a couple of interesting things I want to share.
Science.
First of all, yeah, go ahead. Somebody do the intro.
No. It's only for Jyunmi, but it made me think of Jyunmi, and so I miss when he's not here and he doesn't go science.
Well, I hope I'm not stealing his science thunder, if he shows up tomorrow. Anyway, models are now solving problems that humans have not.
mm-hmm.
GPT 5.2 recently delivered a novel result in theoretical physics, proving that, and now translate this, proving that certain gluon tree level amplitudes are non-zero. Okay, that's the level of mathematics and physics that these models are operating at, and some humans are operating at as well. I have no idea what that means. It wasn't a lucky guess. The model conjectured a formula and spent 12 hours verifying it against the Behrens GL recursion, which is apparently some methodology for proofing something. And so this is just further indication of the advanced intelligence that's being created in artificial intelligence. And even though we haven't gotten to general intelligence, there in certain silos like advanced mathematics, like Axiom AI that we talk about, which has developed a platform for doing, proofs that humans have not been able to achieve. And there's some really incredible savant minds out there that have been applied to these problems. But AI is now synthesizing what knowledge we have along with reasoning capabilities and pushing it beyond what humans have been able to do. That's just an important point to put in your pipe and smoke. And okay, that's that one. I want to just mention another one. Google DeepMind, as you know, is really a center of excellence of advancing AI, and they have just shown the ability using a general purpose bioacoustic model to best any of the prior models in classifying whale sounds. And the training data that was used to build this bioacoustic model was on bird sounds. Mm-hmm. Now, there's not a genetic relationship directly between birds, until you go way back to the cell level, I guess, between birds and whales, but there are some commonalities to the way those vocalizations occur. And training on bird sounds made it possible for the model that they built to understand the whale songs better. And that's pretty interesting. And here's just a little bit of additional information about that. Visual contact underwater with animals like dolphins and seals and marine mammals, orcas, for example, is not generally possible. So they can't really correlate a lot of data around that. So they just have to listen to the sounds that are being generated. And so getting a reliable AI classifier on underwater audio is tough. And the data collection is difficult and so on. And so having the ability to translate bird analysis to whale or dolphin or seal vocalization analysis is really important. So that's Google DeepMind doing things we can't imagine, with their models, applying them to the study of nature in ways that, we heretofore not thought about. But when they started out, as you should know from watching The Thinking Game, if you haven't watched The Thinking Game, get on YouTube and watch it. It's an amazing story about Google DeepMind, now Google DeepMind, but DeepMind, which formed in 2011 as a separate company in London. And, they've done the most advanced development of reinforcement learning models. And recently, one of the co-founders of that left to do another startup that's focused on reinforcement learning applications to achieve superintelligence.
Mm-hmm. And it makes sense, right? It makes sense because that's how children learn, but it's also how language models learn languages from text, right? It just recognizes patterns and starts, it doesn't have a translator in there figuring that out, right? It just starts to recognize patterns and do that. Obviously, it takes longer for the audio to become meaningful, but that is very exciting. And Greg and I are jinxing each other in the chat with Dr. Doolittle. I am now singing "Talk to the Animals." So it just sounds so exciting. All right. Other news stories? Anyone got something?
I had a little one. I just wanted to call attention to an interesting podcast that came out yesterday on the New York Times. They have a podcast every day called The Daily. And typically they'll do, one solid story and then a quick blitz through the headlines. And the story was about the county in Indiana, St. Joseph County, and the struggle that they've been having around the second big data center development. And the reason I wanted to bring it up is because it's one of those things that for me, when I went into the AI, world pretty oblivious actually about the what was going to be required in communities around the world in terms of the data centers. And now that I'm paying attention to it, I see it cropping up more and more places. And so I thought for people listening or for in the chat, if they haven't already listened to this story a couple of days ago, it's a good primer on what is happening in rural and small town America. And I think that we're all going to be part of these conversations, right? The first project that went through in that county went through kind of under the radar and with flying colors because of the job creation. The second one that came around now that they've, dealt with, basic things like just crazy traffic all of a sudden, right? Mm-hmm. And they're seeing the other side of things. So, there's, I don't know how many of these conversations going on around the country, but important. And we're seeing lots of legislation around it. Like every day there's some kind of new conversation cropping up. So I refer people to that podcast episode. I thought it was a fantastic primer on something that's becoming increasingly important and extremely political.
Yes.
It's all politics. That's all it is.
That's true. And it's important to distinguish or tease out the issues, right? One of the issues in it is that the energy being used is dirty. Doesn't have to be dirty. There are other energetic sources, right? Mm-hmm. But if we use fossil fuels, etc., then it creates pollution. And Absolutely. Yes, all politics is local. Absolutely.
Facts. Yeah. People are going to want data centers, but not in my backyard, right? NIMBYism. And then some of them will want data centers in their backyard because
in Canada, we want data centers. It's cold, cold enough. We have lots of places we could put them, and
we'll send them to Canada.
Karl wants them very much. Yep, come to Canada. Is the way you can just repurpose the Olympics thing. Data centers, come to Canada. We will fight a bear for you. Wasn't that the pitch, Karl? We will fight the bear for you.
We will fight the bears for you.
Yes, but we all knew that was not going to fly. We just didn't have we don't have the people that Amazon was looking for. It was not. It was never ever. It's a nice pitch to them, but it was like kind of. I think the decision was brought down to just you don't have the capacity here to do that for Amazon. Yeah. It would have been cool, but I think all the business leaders kind of knew when you talk to them after, we kind of knew.
So it wasn't Olympics, it was Amazon. And those sound similar enough in my head that I recorded them that way. So Karl, you were, we talked a little bit about the MCP, Open MCP, is that what it is?
Web MCP.
Web MCP. We talked a little bit about that, but curious what your thoughts are.
Well, it just brought me back because there's an article by Brian Flynn, and I think we talked about this a while back, is how do you sell to agents? Because if agents are doing all the work for you, how do you sell to them? They don't care about all the attention marketing that you do doesn't mean anything because it's like, don't care about that, right? And, part of that is, okay, so how, and the interesting thing I always found about MCP is enabling your site to be, to allow agents to essentially take action in your site. It isn't just trying to take screenshots and, click on the buttons. We see agent mode, it's so slow sometimes.
Right.
But you give them the tooling to be like, hey, I want the agents to be able to do these specific actions, to take this action, fill out the forms, buy stuff, whatever the action you want on your site, you can build that MCP for that agent to engage with, which I thought is kind of neat because then there's a lot of stuff that you have to do right now, in terms of where do you put your FAQs? How do you, all those different elements that you would put, how does your website change? Or what are the additional things you have to do on your site to ensure both humans and agents can access it and do what you want them to do? So that's kind of I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah. So this reminds me of things that you've been talking about on this show for more than a year. Right? Having the conversations about what is the future of a website. And one of the things that you had mentioned previously is, will websites be personalized or spun up in front of you? And is that then the human website? The agent website isn't so much spun up as this is the data, right? This is the stuff. Here's some paths that we've set up for agents based on what you want, but then the website itself is kind of personalized for a human based on I don't know.
It's interesting because it's at the time when we mentioned it, it's it would be cool if humans continue to go to websites and it would be spun up based on personalization. But if agents are also running your website, it's okay, you don't really need to spin up anything new for them. It's okay, some of the things that Brian mentioned was you put your pricing in the API response. In addition, he says don't put it on your webpage. I'm yeah, you still need to. There'd be a bunch of people still going, but agent use an HTTP 402 so they can extract that. And then how can you automate onboarding for the agent from not having to an actual paying customer, it's completely different. Because, on a website, that's what you do. You onboard people. Hey, what do you do? How do you pay? All that stuff. Now it's like, how do you do that with an agent in a completely different manner? And then all the things related to reliability, is it faster? Like all those things around it. So I don't know if it's building a brand. Like, I think the web MCP is like an interesting thing for that, to ensure that when you're selling to an agent on your site, how does that agent extract all that information? And the way that you build it's a little different. So, I
think that what you're identifying is a transition that's driven by agents, the emergence of agents, so that humans attending to a website is going to decline in proportion to the visits that are being generated by LLM-driven agentic visits. And those are on behalf of humans in many cases, but there's no human there to play to. But there will always be a small portion of it that will be human visits. And so what does the website look like in that case? Well, I got to believe that it's going to be, we've identified that there's a real human here. All of you have been involved with it, arriving at a website and it says, wait a second, Cloudflare's got to determine whether you're a human or not. And it does so kind of very quickly. And so now the website is notified that this is a live human we've got here. And so we're going to do something special for this one. And so it's going to generate some kind of interaction that is going to be compelling and probably driven to try to maintain your eyeballs on that site for a while. And that's a very different model than trying to, as Google did in the web days, compact down to the simplest UI and the most direct delivery of the links that are relevant. That's not what will keep a human's attention in the future, when most of the transaction volume is being done by agents.
Because them researching you, like there will be still people maybe researching websites, but how often have you gone to websites now to do the initial research? It's like, okay, I know generally about the company, right, through whatever LLM you're using, and then from there, it's like, okay, I want to go to the website to do the transaction, which your agent could start doing. But there will be the point where like, hey, I really want to check this out, because as much as the text, as much as the app on, say, ChatGPT, they have an app there, like there still is, hey, I got to go visit that site more so and maybe that's just like the people who are using LMs now. But the next generation who uses it, they're like, I don't need to go to the site. Everything is put into my whatever preferred agent platform, whatever that is. And then, there'll only be, like Andy said, a very small select, could be a small select people who actually still go to websites, but maybe the majority don't. So which then it's like, hey, how do you plan your website? If that's the case, it's very interesting. So very, very, I don't know. I don't know how fast it'll take us to get there to do that, but that's very interesting. How we build it now.
I feel like just to give an example, we got really, really mad at our website a few months ago because we finally ran all the analytics and we found out it wasn't showing up all the places that we thought it would. That same week, I had 3 women tell me that the reason why they wanted to be involved with us was because of our design on our website. So then I'm like, because I was, sorry, dogs. I was like, that's it. Fire the first people, hire the new people, totally new look, rebrand. Everything has to fit so it can be read by LLMs. And then I was like, no, we can't do that because people are like doing the things that we want them to do based on how it looks. So then I started to think, how can we like separate these two projects? How can we just have this like really beautiful website that a fair number of people still, they find us, they put in, there's a lot of people that go there and they buy stuff and they do stuff. And then just like this other totally I know that it's supposed to be like you can, I don't know, it's totally other world for LLMs to read what we're doing and what we're all about.
Yes,
and then
that's
somehow convey the vibes via how it looks. I don't know. That's the kind of decision where like I think a lot of small business owners are going to be stuck for a little while, going back and forth and not having all the information and not being able to predict the future. But I can see in a year I'll have this figured out because out of necessity, at least for the time being.
Yeah, I think there's a logical separation between those two that's happening, and WebMCP drives that. And the way it drives that is now you have, a lot of the creative effort in developing a website goes into the design and the interaction design and the experience, the UX journey, all that. And so for humans, that's always going to remain. But I think it's going to end up having to be much more entertaining and informative in a dynamic way than a current, point and click browse navigation of a website is. But what WebMCP does is it strips down to a raw inventory of all the actions and services that you can perform on the website or the website can perform for you. And that's data. And there's little blocks of actionable things that can be done. And the agents who are coming in have a very clear mission that they've taken on behalf of their, master. And they come in and they read that inventory and they say, okay, I need this and this and this skill, in order to operate this website well. And that's all happening behind the scenes. WebMCP is primarily for agents, although you can imagine somebody building a website that has action buttons, what are you here for? And here's 6 different things that are driven by WebMCP. And you click that button and that shifts you into a visual interaction that is driven by the WebMCP workflow.
Cool. Yeah.
So what we've talked about a similar idea in terms of online dating or dating things, right? Like I'll have my agent go meet your agent. We will negotiate whether the humans are going to get involved. And I'm wondering if we're going to have a similar kind of thing. Like my agent has interacted with the company's agent through the web and then says, great, I'm going to bring my human. I'm going to recommend my human come. This is the format that they want to see the information. Right. So for me, I don't want the like, woohoo, blah, 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 blah. I just want like clear data, white space. Somebody else may want entertaining.
I think the agent will, knowing what it is that I, as the master, want, will just take the information and then generate it for me. I don't know that it needs to send me ever to the website.
I think it still depends on what we're doing too, right? If let's say we're making a transaction, a simple, hey, I want to buy like up to say $1,000, perhaps. But when you're starting to get like to big money purchases, I do think like there probably will be lots of people still, hey, I need to go with my own eyes, go to a place to do that. As much as I may trust my agent, I still need to verify with, because it's such a massive, I don't know, $100,000 a year purchase. I got to be able to talk to people, and my agent would give me as much information, but I still need to see with my eyes. Or there are multiple people on my team, even with our agents each, we still need to, like, I think that's where the people come in. It's like, would you ever give $100,000? It's your level of trust. Do you trust your agent, like, explicitly to be able to give you that information? I don't think the world is ready for that type of trust. I honestly not. And yeah, for $50 purchases, maybe, but for 100,000, 200,000, whatever the deal is, it's not gonna, a lot of that is still gonna be people. It just is. There may be use cases where like billionaires like, yeah, I'll trust my agent, but for the good majority of people, for the foreseeable future, that's going to be the trust factor is still, I think, like outside the AI bubble, I think you know Anne. I think you know Andy and Beth. Like everybody on this, that trust is not. It's not there at all. So we may trust it, but like the person doing a deal on whatever manufacturing is not going to trust that.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Because I wouldn't. Right? Like, I mean, there's a part of me is like, well, Temu exists, right? Like, so there's a certain level you're willing to trust what it's gonna arrive, but it may have very little
maybe like this small, right? Like it's this small. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna, but you know what? For $10, that's okay. But if I'm spending $5,000, I'm probably not gonna go to Temu, right? It's not this. Too much of a risk to do that. It is kind of funny.
That's true. Well, thank you, everybody. We have spent another lovely hour with our great chat and our great hosts. We will be doing this tomorrow and all week. We're here Monday through Friday. A bunch of things get dropped in the chat after the show in the community, Daily AI Show community.com. And give us a like and subscribe because we actually, but thank you, everybody. We went to 4,000 subscribers this weekend. So
nicely done. Good job, everybody. Tell your friends. Tell your friends.
Yeah. Thanks. We'll see you tomorrow,
Bye,
everybody.
See you later.
Care.